Okay. So be cool, right? You can take your own time to answer the things, right? I'm completely okay with that one. Don't get tensed. Okay. Okay. Yeah, but I am not able to access it. No issue. Let it be. Okay. So as I told, right, you can be calm, compose. No need to tension. Right. Wish you all the best. Okay. Okay. So tell us about yourself, your current role in HCL Technologies, supporting Under Armour. Hmm. 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 Hmm.
I would mark everything on the checklist, and then the checklist itself, I would have an option to export a dashboard.
Hmm.
So I had built a dashboard, and I had made that dashboard as the format for the export. And then that way it was easy to read the data, to present the data to management, and whatnot. Uh, so I've worked with some Crestrons. I didn't do advanced troubleshooting for the Crestrons because we still had a remote AV team for the more advanced troubleshooting if I needed support. But for the most part, if it was like an issue with the cabling, or if it was an issue with the configuration of the Crestron, sometimes with MacBooks, for example, you would need to enable certain settings in order for the HDMI signal to pass. Otherwise, it gets marked as copyrighted content
Mm-hmm.
or something of the sort, and then it doesn't appear on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to adjust those settings, some base layer settings on the Crestron, some base layer configurations. Uh, I was also a Teams admin,
Mm-hmm.
so I would help with setting up meetings for our live events. I would assist with the RTMP stream. Uh, I sometimes had to check accounts, but normally for account-based issues, once I verified it, I would send it to our remote team.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we used to use WebEx actually in my first year and a half there,
Mm-hmm.
but then as a part of what we called our digital arena, we
Mm-hmm.
migrated from Dropbox to OneDrive, from WebEx to Teams, and we just got the entire Microsoft suite for some more compatibility to make it easier to collaborate. And so we migrated hundreds of users within the region from Teams to WebEx, from WebEx to Teams.
Okay.
And that was mostly a lot of user education. People need to get used to the platform, so there was a lot of some account issues, but not as often. Uh, and we worked through those. We had a hypercare
Mm.
period. So I've also got a little bit of experience with migration project on that regard. Let's see. I also have a few experiences where we encountered some unexpected issues during live events. For example, we had one case where we had an external vendor with the recording equipment and the cameras, the DSPs, and they connected their system to our system through a Blackmagic capture card.
Mm-hmm.
And so their capture card streamed well, it captured the stream and displayed it on our system.
Mm-hmm.
At one point during the presentation, there was some freezing. That was I noticed. I flagged it. We did some investigation. I pulled the logs from the affected device. In this case, the capture card was connected to a MacBook Pro, and that was being used to stream this event. So we checked the logs. I pulled the logs from that. Did a root cause analysis and determined that the fault was from the Blackmagic capture card because at one point in the logs it had stopped initializing for a few seconds, and the timing matched the timing of the failure.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, we captured some more advanced logs, which needed a Microsoft engineer to open the file. We weren't able to actually open that file ourselves. Microsoft has their own program similar to like they have the mini dump when you have a issue on Windows and you get a mini dump and you give it to the Microsoft engineer, they're able to view the files. And so we shared those files as well with the Microsoft engineer to try to find why the Blackmagic card failed, but they weren't able to come up with a conclusive answer. The solution for that was when I had recommended that we switch to RTMP streaming entirely for our live events, because that would there would be less interfaces connecting the external vendor to our network, and so there would be less points of failure.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved into the RTMP streams from that point forward as a resolution for that issue.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I've got plenty other stories, but I think that gives a
Hmm.
pretty good idea of the type of work I was doing from an AV perspective.
Okay. In the MTR meeting room, right? Microsoft meeting room. What are the types of jobs you are doing, right? What type of remote support or the on-site type of support you are doing?
So for our meeting rooms, it was mostly on-site support. Most of our meeting rooms were based in the office. We did have one meeting room based in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually flew to that meeting room one time for a hardware removal, and while out there, I also fixed some issues.
Okay.
But for the most part, with the remote meeting room support, it would be fairly simple. The most I would have to do is restart the device remotely, ensure that the
No,
screen was
I'm
configured
not asking about
correctly.
remote one. I'm asking about the on-site tech. So if
Yeah,
so,
so
can you just explain me a signal flow? How that in a particular meeting room, how that signal flow works?
definitely. So we had in one meeting room, for example, because there was some had some slightly different configurations, but our standard setup was the microphones,
Mm-hmm.
which were connected from usually the table microphones. We also had some larger meeting rooms which connected to our data rack, our network rack with our DSPs. But the standard meeting room was a table mic, a Cisco table mic, which connects to the codec itself.
Mm-hmm.
From the codec would be connected to the network, and it would be connected to the Crestrons, and also the displays. And so then the Crestron would be connected to the HDMI switcher on the desk side. So this would usually be through a RJ45 connection, not necessarily over the internet, but definitely over the local network.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, uh, that's how input would get into the codec, and the codec was then connected to the internet and configured with our tenant for Teams so that it can have meetings. For the more advanced meeting rooms, the speakers and the microphones were not built connected directly to the codec.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they ran to a rack upstairs in our IDF room. From there, they would connect to our DSPs. The DSP would be connected to the receivers for the microphones. It would be connected to the controller for the speakers, and then those speakers would also be and the microphones would also be present in the room. Some ceiling microphones, for example, and then besides that, the setup was largely similar to the standard rooms.
Hmm. Okay. So your resume mentions support for hundreds of Windows, Mac OS, iOS devices, right? So how do you
Yes.
prioritize the multiple incidents when several users need support at the same time?
When there's multiple users who need support at the same time, uh, first I'll quickly go over the impact.
Mm-hmm.
Some cases will affect more than one user, whereas others are more localized to a specific device or to a specific platform. Uh, and so generally, the ones that have the largest impact would be the highest priority.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in some cases, if let's say they're all similar impact,
Mm-hmm.
usually in that case, I would just perform it in terms of in order when I receive the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
If there's similar impact, similar use case, similar complexity, then I would just prioritize it by time. or if there's, for example, a VIP user among the tickets, then I would prioritize that VIP user unless there's a ticket which has a larger impact.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I mean, outside of that, if there's a more complex issue that I know is going to take a bit more time, I'll try to schedule that one uh, in a for a, like, let's say, if I need to do some troubleshooting on a computer, I need to pull some logs, I need to review the logs. I would try to schedule that one during a period where I'll be able to have the user with me,
Mm-hmm.
uh, or in some cases, even when the user is not in a period of heavy usage of their device, so that I can just provide a loaner device
Hmm.
and I can check the situation while they're still able to perform light tasks such as emails and reviewing Excel files and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, the priority would be by how when they come in, if there's no VIP or huge
Hmm.
impact issues, and then from there, I would try to quickly close the tickets that I know aren't going to take very long. Sometimes you just get a password request, forgotten password request, and then in those cases, it's it's the ticket's only going to take 4 or 5 minutes.
Hmm.
And so if you have the time to fit those in, you can close as many of those as possible
Mm-hmm.
before you tackle the larger case. So that way you have more satisfied users.
Hmm.
So generally things like that. If there's something that's not a very high priority, low impact, I would try to check it when there's no urgent requirement at the service desk or
Hmm.
in a meeting room. Uh, just generally things like that. It's all fairly case by case, but that would is roughly how I would or how I would prioritize these.
Okay. Uh, so, what type of physical on-site support activities do you perform in the current position?
Well, in my time at Under Armour, the physical on-site activities were mostly support, a few AV installations. Sometimes I needed to perform some network work, like I would need to go to our IDF room and I would work on our switches with our network engineers, uh, who were also mostly remote. So uh, generally, any on-site IT task that needed to be done would come through myself or one of my colleagues.
Okay. So you are also taking care of the networking part, right?
Yeah, so some network troubleshooting, not really the design itself, but for example, if some switches weren't reachable, the networking team would ask us to take a look at it, or if there's some network Wi-Fi issues in the office, I would be the first to pick it up, look at the issue, perform some trace routes, some ping tests, some bandwidth tests,
Okay.
and gather information, and then I would share that with our networking team so that they can. Sometimes I would even need to do some packet capturing with Wireshark.
Hmm. Okay. So you have mentioned that codec, Cisco codecs. Which Cisco codec model have you installed?
So most recently, I've installed the Cisco Room Bars and the Cisco Desk Pros,
Mm-hmm.
but I've also had to install the EQ in the past,
Okay.
which is just the flat box that
Okay.
can go behind the TV or underneath in a cabinet somewhere.
Okay. So please explain one Cisco video conferencing issue that you have personally diagnosed and resolved.
Definitely. I mean, I'll even mention that one time that I went to the UK
Mm-hmm.
to. I was on site at a meeting room in the UK because I was removing some hardware.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was there, I noticed that there was a configuration issue. It wasn't really a ticket that was raised,
Mm-hmm.
but I proactively flagged the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I performed some troubleshooting, and I found that there was a setting that was misconfigured.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, the issue was that both screens were just always duplicated,
Okay.
and I just needed to adjust the configuration on the codec so that it would treat the second screen as a second screen instead of a duplicate screen.
Okay.
Uh, for the same codec, on the same time, there was also an issue with HDMI sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so first, to verify that the HDMI ports were working, I did a HDMI pass through to the camera so that I can see the camera. It's like I can see the HDMI input as a camera view,
Mm-hmm.
and that worked. So that verified that the hardware itself was working, and that one was also a configuration issue that I worked to resolve. Uh, I needed to adjust the display settings.
So you're able to troubleshoot it from your side, right?
Yeah, I was able to troubleshoot it from my side. I logged into the backend for the codec. I did the troubleshooting myself, and
Okay.
I resolved the issue.
Okay. So what you done to get it fixed?
In that case, I just had to adjust a few of the display settings. It was about a year and a half, 2 years ago now.
Okay.
But that for that specific case, I needed to. The device wasn't being treated as the proper device type,
Okay.
and so that's why when the HDMI pass-through was enabled, I was able to see the input as a camera view, but I wasn't able to view it as a shared screen.
Okay.
So I just needed to adjust a few of the settings on the back end to fix that. With the in the system settings, there's a device section, and then from there you can adjust the settings. And so I used our standard settings for that instead of the settings that were on the device at the time.
Okay. So walk us through a standard process of testing a meeting room before an important executive room meeting.
Definitely. So for testing a meeting room, well, I had my checklist. I would normally first step in and I would check the facilities themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the cabling, I ensure that it's not messy, everything's tidy, uh, that the floor boxes aren't just open, uh, and I ensure that like the speakers are properly covered. We had a front piece for the speakers that could be removed.
Mm-hmm.
So I would make sure those were on securely. And then once the facilities were validated, I would check the codec functionality. I would ensure that the sound was clean, crisp, and the video was working. I would check screen sharing with both wireless sharing and wired sharing. In some cases, I would also check with multiple devices because sometimes Miracast would work, but then AirPlay might have an issue. So I would check on a Windows and an Apple device. We didn't really have Linux in our ecosystem, so I didn't need to check with Linux.
Okay.
So once I validated all the codec functions, I would ensure that the camera position was also in a standard position so that when they dial in, it's not pointing at a random part of the room.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that would be just about everything: cabling, functions, sound, video clarity.
Okay. So a meeting room display is working, but the camera and microphone are not detected by that room computer. So how do you troubleshoot it?
All right. Well, if the codec's turning on, then the first thing I would do is ensure that the camera and microphone are still plugged into the codec or plugged into the DSP, which would need to be plugged into the codec
Okay.
eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so if everything is correctly plugged, the next thing I would check is on the back end to see if it's being detected
Mm-hmm.
by the codec or if there's some error message.
Okay.
From there, if it gives me an error message, I can follow the error message for the next steps.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the next step would be to check if the hardware itself is working.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in that case, I might need to plug it into another device and test it, or I might. We also had a codec on wheels, so
Mm-hmm.
I could bring that in and use that codec as a substitute to test.
Mm-hmm.
So then I would validate the hardware. If the hardware is working and there's no clear error message, and then at that point I would need to escalate. If there's no error message, the hardware is all working, and usually in that case, the ticket would be opened with Cisco
Mm-hmm.
or with our service provider for
So,
AV support.
what are the AV softwares that you will be checking there, right?
Well, I would check with the WebEx admin backend. I would also, in some cases, need Dante controller
Mm-hmm.
to ensure all of the connections are properly mapped.
Okay.
But besides that, we didn't really have too much uh, in our ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Too many points of failure. For example, in some cases, I would need to check the Crestron device that's connected, but those cases would just be for HDMI switching usually. If there's an issue with HDMI switching, I would need to check the Crestron.
Okay.
But normally, we didn't really have much more advanced issues than that one.
Hmm. Okay. Uh, a user reports that a remote participant can hear them, but they cannot hear a remote participant. What would you check?
All right, well, the first thing to check is if their microphone is muted.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that could be in multiple ways. For example, with the Jabra headphone that I'm using right now, if I put the mic up, it automatically mutes, but my device might show that it's not muted,
Mm-hmm.
and it just won't be receiving any sound input. So I would put it up and down to get the unmuted sound, so I know that the issue is not the headphone. I would also ensure that everything's unmuted on the device.
Mm-hmm.
If it still doesn't work, then I'll check the microphone itself. I check in another program, maybe the voice recorder, to see if there's any input at all. Uh, if not, the next step is usually a quick restart.
Mm-hmm.
It fixes a lot of strange issues. And from there, if a restart doesn't help, the next steps would be to try a different microphone,
Mm-hmm.
and B, try a different laptop.
Hmm.
Just to normally we had some testers, so it would only take a few minutes, and that way we can validate if it's a hardware issue on the headphone or the laptop side.
Hmm.
Or in this case, it may not even be a hardware issue on the laptop side. It could be a driver issue on the laptop side. So if it's a laptop issue, then we would proceed further with troubleshooting the laptop. and we would provide an alternative for the time being. Otherwise, if it's a headphone issue, usually there's some extra headphones in stock. If the device itself isn't working, we would replace the headset.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, so for the laptop issue, then from there we're determining is it a software or a hardware issue. We try reinstalling drivers. We ensure there's no compatibility issue. It's not issue caused by a recent Windows update. Just standard checks like that
Hmm.
to validate if it's a hardware or a software issue. And then if it's a hardware issue, a temporary or permanent replacement is provided, and the affected device would then either be repaired with the vendor. Most of the devices at Under Armour were under warranty
Mm-hmm.
with Lenovo. Uh, and so we would either return this device to Lenovo for repairs, and they would come on site to do the repair itself. Or if the device is over a certain age, let's say 3 years is our usable lifetime. So let's say it's 2 years and 9 months. We'll just consider it near the end of its usable life. If it's still under warranty, we'll still get it repaired, but then it wouldn't be redeployed if it's near the end of its life.
Hmm. Okay. So you have completed Dante level 3, right? You have completed Dante level 3, right?
Yeah, I've completed Dante level 3.
Yeah. Explain how a Dante transport audio over an IP network.
Can you repeat the question? Your
So explain
voice
how
is
that
getting
Dante transport an audio over an IP network.
Definitely. So Dante sends the audio packets over a network connection to the switch. Usually there's some type of quality of service protocol which treats it as a certain priority so that the latency is minimal.
Hmm.
So it would get to the switch, and then it would be routed to the device that you connected it to in your Dante controller.
Hmm.
Uh, Among that in that network to that device. In some cases, if the device is in a different subnet,
Hmm.
which is what Dante Level 3 covers, then the networks would need to be connected in some way with the Dante network controller. I haven't had to do that. I haven't had to put that bit in practice myself because I inherited most of the setup at Under Armour.
Hmm.
But the
Did you ever see the Dante
signal can
manager?
then be sent in a broadcast
Dante
or a
manager.
multicast or unicast
Hmm.
flow. Usually from device to device is unicast, but then in the form you can have a channel which
Okay.
would then have a multicast output.
Mm-hmm.
So a unicast input and a multicast output.
Mm-hmm.
And then that channel would be able to broadcast to multiple displays.
Okay. Did you ever see the Dante manager?
Do you mean the Dante controller application, or
Yeah.
do you mean the? I've used the Dante controller application, but mostly for educational purposes. So
Hmm.
in lab setups and whatnot.
Okay. So, so two Dante devices appear on a Dante controller, right? But you cannot route an audio between them. What would you check?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, first I would ensure that they're both like I'll ensure that one is capable of outputting audio and the other is sending an audio signal.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the first thing that I would need to check
Okay.
to validate the devices. If that is the case and there's an issue, I would also need to check if there's another device that's currently outputting a signal to one of those devices,
Hmm.
or if there's, for example, in the Dante controller, actually, there's usually a green check mark or a red X if there's an error,
Hmm.
and that also provides some insight. So I would also check that.
Okay.
Uh, but that's also then becomes a case by case troubleshooting.
Okay. I think you don't have a hands-on experience in Dante, right? So you are in the mostly in the.
Uh, yeah, so for Dante itself, I don't have much hands-on experience. I did the Dante level 1 through 3, and I did apply some of the concepts at my previous employer,
Hmm.
but the majority of the setup was inherited,
Hmm.
and so it was mostly support. I had to reinstall some Crestrons. I would need to install some meeting rooms.
Okay. In the data management, how there's a metrics level thing is there. So you have to set a clock signal. So there should be a master device. There should be a slave device.
Yes.
So you have to check that. No issue. Mm, so Microsoft Teams and Unified Communications. What the experience do you have supporting Microsoft Teams rooms? Right. You have already mentioned. Can you a bit more explain? Right.
Yeah, so our WebEx devices were later moved over to Teams, but they weren't running Teams OS.
Mm-hmm.
They were still running WebEx OS.
Okay.
But so generally, I wasn't really supporting a Teams rooms. I was supporting Teams on a Cisco codec.
Hmm.
Uh, this was still generally you would I would set up the device. If there's an issue, I would need to do some troubleshooting, but it rarely ever got to the point where I would need to troubleshoot the device itself from a Teams perspective.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
I stopped speaking.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, but do you want me to continue?
No. Yeah. Um. Agent. Okay. So you are supported more in the WebEx rooms rather than Zoom rooms, right? So.
Yeah, I mean it was the Cisco OS, and there was the Teams rooms were connected as like we had the button for Teams,
Mm-hmm.
and then the user would just need to select that button, and the tenant itself was already pre-filled,
Okay.
and so they would just need to put the room number in.
Did you ever have an experience supporting CFO, CXO level of meetings, right? If some issues is how cool you are to addressing those people.
When you say CFO or CSO, you mean like the C-suite.
Yeah.
So this, yeah, definitely. I mean that was my main responsibility. That's what I mean when I say VIP support. In the region EMEA
Hmm.
at Under Armour, we didn't have many C-suite members. It was mostly directors and VPs. But
Okay.
every now and then, when the C-suite would fly into the country from Baltimore,
Okay.
I would be providing the support. In those cases, usually I would have a some set equipment just in case, some adapters, spare cables, uh, and whatnot. But I would be the main support for those individuals when they're in the country.
Okay. So the MTR that you have supported is a Windows based or Android based, right? What type?
They the management team themselves used a combination of Windows and Mac OS with iOS phones
Okay.
and iPads.
Okay. So did you ever go to that management portal in the Teams room, right? I just have a Korean. A Teams room is showing the offline. So in the management portal, but the room is room display and the touch panel is power on. How do you investigate that one?
All right. Well, for this one, we would need to go to at my previous role, we would need to go to the WebEx portal
Okay.
to troubleshoot the device.
Okay.
But if there was a issue with like the call quality or something, then we can check in the Teams portal for those statistics.
Okay.
Network quality, call health.
Hmm.
Those are things that we would be able to check in the Teams portal in my previous role.
Okay. So you know how to check that management portal, right?
Yes.
Okay. The room can join a Teams meeting, but the content sharing does not work. So how you will be troubleshooting that one? What are the steps you will
Well,
take?
normally I would check the hardware layer first
Hmm?
because, at least in my experience, the majority of screen sharing issues is due to a switch that needs to be HDMI switch. I mean that needs to be restarted
Hmm.
or something along those lines. In some cases, even the codec would need to be restarted. But first, I would check the hardware level. I make sure everything's all the cabling's secure. Then I would restart these devices.
Hmm.
Uh, if there's still no screen sharing, then normally I would check the settings, ensure that that the screen sharing is properly configured.
Hmm.
Uh, but for screen sharing issues, I haven't yet had a case where I needed to go to the Teams admin center.
Hmm. Okay. Do you have experience in service now?
Yes, I use ServiceNow as my main ticketing system for the past 3.5, almost 4 years.
Okay. Okay.
So I used it for asset management. I used it for ticketing. I made dashboards.
Okay. So since your networking experience, explain the difference between an AV problem and a network problem. How do you isolate which area is responsible?
Hmm. Well, I would say that a network problem is a bit more broad.
Hmm.
A AV problem, while it could be related to a network, is mostly related to the devices themselves, some kind of conflict with, if there's a networking problem on an AV device, for example, it's usually due to some kind of IP conflict or something along those lines, and in which case it would fall as an AV problem because the AV device needs to be reconfigured.
Hmm.
However, if there's a wider issue, for example, if some, for example, our VPN, if our VPN is affecting the AV experience, then that would fall under a networking issue because the VPN is the cause of the issue.
Okay. Um, Understood. If what network information would you collect when an AV device is offline?
When it's offline, I would definitely need to collect the MAC address.
Hmm.
Uh, if there's no IP address available, then I wouldn't be able to collect that. Maybe a local address. And besides that, the serial number. Uh, I would also check which port it's connected to on the
Hmm.
switch.
Hmm.
And usually that's enough.
Hmm. Okay, fine. What is PoE? And would you determine
PoE,
whether
that's
the
power
AV
over
device is
Ethernet.
receiving sufficient power from the network switch?
Can you repeat the
Yeah.
question?
PoE you already answered. How would you determine whether an AV device is receiving sufficient power from the AV network switch?
Hmm. That's actually a very good question that one moment, somebody's at my door. uh,
No
I'll
issue.
carry this with me. Sorry, that was my brother. He just got home.
my neighbors have a tendency knock the door and run away.
Yeah. So you asked, let's see, how do you determine if the AV device is not getting enough power from PoE? Well, PoE does have some power limits. Normally, the first thing I would check is if this device requires more power than is available from PoE.
Hmm.
Uh, this is usually in like the case of the voltage or the wattage.
Okay.
Uh, but from there, I had suspicions, but I haven't really had situations where I need to specifically check that on the back end, so I wouldn't really know where to check that.
Okay, no issue. That's enough. When should an AV incident should be escalated to an integrator, manufacturer, or a level 3 engineering team?
All right, definitely. When a AV incident is not related to a misconfiguration or to a hardware uh, defect, well, I mean, in the case of a hardware defect, if it's under warranty, it can be escalated.
Hmm.
But if it's not related to a misconfiguration, if there's like a genuine error in the program or if there's a unexplainable error on the logs that has no clear cause,
Hmm.
then this could be escalated for analysis.
Hmm. Okay,
Uh,
fine. What information would be included in the escalation so that the next team can act without repairing your investigation, repeating your investigation?
well, all of the steps taken and the results from those steps would need to be logged in the ticket that's provided.
Hmm.
This would need to also be accompanied by a comment, maybe stating, hey, based on this, I'm suspecting this, but the logs are inconclusive. Can this be analyzed further? Or something of the like. So that a little bit of a handover, you could say, so that the next engineer is aware of the issue, aware of what's been done, and is aware of what needs to be done next.
Okay. How do you manage a firmware upgrade? So for a Kodak camera, touch panels, right? Did you do that one independently or?
Well, those were normally just scheduled for off hours.
Mhm.
Our devices were connected 24/7, so outside of business hours, they would just update.
Hmm. Okay. So explain me your experience in managing vendors, procurement or return and RMA process. Did you ever do that one?
Definitely, definitely. So at Under Armour, we had quite a few vendors for various reasons.
Hmm.
In one case, we had one vendor, Microfix, which we had already had onboarded,
Hmm.
but we weren't frequently using their services.
Hmm.
So I scheduled a meeting with this vendor to discuss with them how we can better take advantage of their services.
Okay.
This vendor was used for repairing laptops.
Hmm.
So normally we would send our Lenovo laptops to either Lenovo directly, or Lenovo would send a technician to repair the laptops on site.
Okay.
But we had a large amount of laptops,
Hmm.
and so I connected with Microfix. We discussed, and so they provided a new process that we could use with them, where we can send our laptops directly to them. And if it's under warranty, they're a Lenovo certified service partner. They were able to repair it under warranty.
Hmm.
And we would be able to send it to them in bulk
Okay,
with
and that's
a.
one. That's more related to a user related thing. So I'm looking somewhat AV. Any you do you have any AV vendor that do the installation? Do you ever coordinate an installation part using a vendor?
Yes, yes. So we use DCOM for our AV installations,
Okay.
and generally I would need to work with them on site for the installations.
Mm-hmm.
I would be their contact person on site if they would need to have some, if they had some issue with the installation, I would be the guy they would reach out to, and then I would report this to the service delivery manager.
Okay. Did you ever do any physical, any hands-on installation from your side?
Yes, like I mentioned before, I did install some codec EQs,
Okay.
some room bars, and some desk pros.
Okay. Fine. So,
In those cases, I've needed to mount and then cable everything and ensure the Crestrons were properly configured and
okay.
whatnot.
Okay, so in an executive meeting room, say I would like to give you a scenario, right? An executive meeting room starting within the 15 minutes, right? But the main boardroom camera is not working. So there is a main executive room. So what would you do in that situation? How you handle that situation?
Hmm. Well, first I would quickly restart the device. That only takes about 2 or 3 minutes and can solve the issue. But if there's only 15 minutes, then I would quickly be looking for an alternative
Hmm.
because with camera issues, if a restart doesn't fix it, then it's usually a deeper issue that would take more than 15 minutes to resolve.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best way to utilize that 15 minutes is to provide some kind of alternative, another camera or some other space that can be used.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then to check that camera further when the meeting room is free.
Okay. So you are supporting several Amsterdam offices, right? And two critical rooms fail at the same time. So what would you decide which location to attend first?
Hmm. Well, that's actually a very good question. Uh, Two critical meeting rooms fail at the same time. Well, first I would try to quickly remotely troubleshoot both of them. You can remotely restart these devices. Uh, of course, I can only do that if the rooms are not in use. If the rooms are in use at the moment, then I would need to, based on the scenario, prioritize the meeting room with the more critical need. If there's a meeting currently in that room or a meeting scheduled for that room on that day and there's not for the other, then I would need to do the one that has the meeting scheduled because it needs to be running.
Yeah, understand. So
So,
there are n number of occasions where a user is frustrated, right? Blames AV team, but your investigation shows that that issue is with their laptop. How would you handle that conversation?
mm, I've actually had a situation like this before
Every AV guy,
in
right?
Under Armour. So in this case, the user's MacBook wasn't connecting to the meeting room,
Mm-hmm.
and we did some troubleshooting. And no matter how much troubleshooting we did on the room itself, uh, it wouldn't work. But when I tested with another MacBook, it would work.
Hmm.
So in that case, first I provided an alternative MacBook for the teammate to use for that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That way, they're able to actually get their work done without a huge delay.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't need to do any invasive troubleshooting on their laptop.
Mm-hmm.
But then once that's completed, I would schedule a follow up with that user
Mm-hmm.
to engage with the issue again on the laptop and perform some troubleshooting and find the cause of the issue.
Okay. Okay. So moving away from the theoretical part, technical part. So tell us about a mistake that you made while you're supporting an IT or AV system. How did you correct it,
Hmm.
and what did you change afterwards?
Hmm. A mistake. I mean, fairly early on in my time at Under Armour, I did make a few.
Did you ever blown any CP3, any CP4 QCs?
Oh,
500
for,
up?
Fortunately, I haven't done anything too critical.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the biggest mistake that I can remember that was able to be fixed within my own means, uh, I would say, this is a very good question, actually. Well, one scenario is when I first started picking up the AV role at Under Armour, and I was setting up codecs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Sometimes this is a small mistake, but sometimes I would miss the tags on the codec itself on the WebEx Admin Center.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in these cases, I mean, usually I would, especially early on, I would reach out to our more experienced AV engineer and I'd ask him if he could just quickly review it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he found the. I mean, I also believe in we call it a four eyes principle, doer and checker,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps minimize mistakes. So fortunately, because of that process, we didn't have any catastrophic mistakes. Uh, but yeah, that's about the most major thing I can think of with the meeting rooms. A lot of it was fairly simple, so it didn't
Angela,
need
namaskaram.
any major
Angela?
hardware installation.
Trim.
We usually relied
Working
on the
meeting
external
ഒരു
vendor
ഇന്റർവ്യൂ നടന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക
decom
നമുക്ക്
for the
സ്റ്റാഫിനെ എടുക്കാണ്ടിരിക്കുക.
larger hardware installations because they would have a team of
Working.
4 or 5 people.
Hmm. Okay. 4i principle. What's that? I never heard about that one. What was the 4i principle?
Four eyes principle. It's basically something we coined, and it's just you. I have two eyes. My teammate has two eyes.
Oh, okay.
So
Bring
we have
more
a doer
brains to
and
the.
a checker.
Okay.
Yeah, a doer and a checker process.
Okay.
So that way we minimize mistakes.
Hmm. Okay. So describe a time when you identified a recruiting issue, recurring issue. Yeah.
A recurring issue?
Yeah, and introduce a permanent process of improvement.
Definitely, definitely. So I actually mentioned one of those earlier with the Crestrons. I was performing my health checks and I noticed that a specific Crestron was failing, and I had used a older, not necessarily older, but a recently decommissioned piece from a room that I had just reinstalled. Uh, there was still a working receiver, and it was a slightly different receiver than was present in the room at the time. So I did my confirmation on the Crestron documentation to ensure that that combination of transmitter and receiver would work, and I installed the new receiver, which resolved the issue permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue was basically just almost every other day when I was conducting my health checks, I would notice that the screen sharing wouldn't work until you restart the Crestron. So by replacing the defective Crestron receiver, I was able to resolve that issue permanently.
Great. So tell us about the disagreement with another technical team. How did you resolve it? Definitely there will be some.
There's definitely one. Actually, this reminds me of one time that I was helping support a little bit out of my scope, but we had one digital showroom which was supported by an external vendor and our networking team. So this external vendor came to the office on a Saturday. It was out of hours, but because I lived close to the office, I volunteered to help them with access and whatnot. And so this
that's
external
a
team,
dangerous thing. Never do that because company will always call you, right? And oh, you're nearby, come.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
at
I
least.
mean, I was the guy who was nearby. My other colleague lived in another city, so
Hmm.
it was generally for these off requests, like our data center. I've done a out of hours request and at the office. So I the our networking team was performing the configuration for this room,
Hmm.
and the external team was performing the hardware configuration for their equipment.
Hmm.
Uh, but there was an issue with the equipment reaching the server from the for the external team. Their server for this application that they run the equipment on, it's
Hmm.
called the Storytelling Suite.
Hmm.
Uh, they weren't able to reach their AWS server,
Hmm.
uh, and my networking team, Under Armour's, they were very adamant that that room had an open network connection.
Hmm.
I did not agree with them,
Hmm.
uh, and to resolve it, I stepped in. I grabbed this extra device that was enrolled in the Under Armour tenant, and I connected it to the network in that room, and I provided evidence in the form of a direct connection to show that with a device that works on our network, to show that the network connection provided in that room from the ports in that room were not providing a net connection to the open internet, and it
Hmm.
was only for internal resources.
Oh.
So I disproved that with the hardware test, and so then they had to check the configuration once again. And once they fixed the configuration, the equipment from the storytelling suite was able to reach the open internet.
Hmm. Great.
So I like to think that when I have a disagreement, I provide evidence. I obtain and provide evidence because if two technicians are disagreeing without any form of evidence or any form of analysis, then they're arguing over nothing,
Yeah,
in my
when there is
opinion.
a proper talent, then only you will. They have their own opinions. Then only there will be a proper
Yeah.
conflict, right? I heard from Jack Ma that right, it is easier to manage two blunders, right? Two idiots, right? Whatever they will make, but it will be very hard to manage two talented people, right? Always they do have
Mm,
their own opinion, right? Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
And
So
that's why I usually come with evidence.
yeah, you have to be, otherwise, right? The opposite
Yeah,
party
I
will be,
get you.
yeah, the opposite party will be very keen to put you down, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So how do you balance the speed of a resolution with the quality of proper documentation?
So generally, I, for example, if I'm trying to resolve an issue in the most user-friendly way possible, I
Hmm.
would just quickly note down on paper
Hmm.
the steps that I'm taking, because then, for example, I have a pen, I have a paper, it's just a quick note. And then once I resolve the issue, I already have a little summary of all the steps that I took. And so then I would put those steps in the already open ticket. So
Hmm.
that would be the next ticket note. And then I would expand on the steps if required, if I need to explain something. So I would basically have the summary. I would make the summary while I'm performing the action, and then I would expand on the summary once it's resolved.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. How do you want to move into the Amsterdam AV technician role? So you will be, you have already departed from there, right? Why you need for need to apply for this role? What are the curious things that you want to be in Amsterdam for this particular AV technician role?
Well, in my previous role, AV wasn't the entire focus.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I am very interested in audiovisual applications. I've done some music production on the side myself as a hobby. I had some equipment, Focusrite, since I was a teenager. So
Mhm.
I have always had this interest in sound and in production and in video. And so to combine that with my IT experience
Mhm.
would be like my dream job. And
Okay.
so I would like to move into a role where I'm more focused on the AV. I'm building systems, supporting these systems, and managing the experience while I'm at it. So
Okay.
for me, it's a passion.
Makes sense. Do you sing? You have your own music band?
I don't have a band, but I do write songs sometimes.
Okay. So it'll be easier, right? There are an application like Suno. Did you use that one? Suno?
Suno, you mean the one where you make music with AI?
Yeah.
I've used Suno before, actually.
Okay.
Just as I made a few songs with it. Some rock music, some rap music,
Mm.
some reggae. Just to experiment with it because I'm also very interested in AI applications.
Okay.
So for me, it was like a combination of everything. I wanted to see what it was capable of at the time.
Okay. So we are an AI first company. So what do you think with this AI? What are the major changes? Will it be productive for somebody, or it will take the job from the existing market?
With the AI,
Yeah.
oh well, I mean, in I see two things with AI. One, it can do repetitive tasks like data entry and other low-level tasks. You can easily have an AI loop repeating that task whenever there's input.
Mm-hmm.
So it can ease the administrative load for a role.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see it more as a productivity multiplier in that case
Okay.
instead of a replacement
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like with AI, it's still very important to have a human in the loop,
Mm-hmm.
as they call it, in these
Mm-hmm.
agentic loops.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've actually been building some loops on N8N recently. I have my own self-hosted Ubuntu server on Google Cloud Platform.
Mm.
But with something like Suno, for example, I believe it would allow a creative individual as well to see how something sounds in a different way. They can experiment with their sound. They can have Suno generate a song in four different ways, and they can see which they prefer, so they know which direction they want to take their own sound in for that song. So in that case, I would say it's a creativity multiplier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. Hmm. So which area would require the most development during the first 3 months? Microsoft Teams, AV control systems, DSP programming, network, or any
Mm,
another area?
I would say the area that would require the most development in the first 3 months would be the more advanced AV concepts with the Dante controller and connecting the network. Because I did do Dante level 3, but I haven't had much experience to apply my knowledge from Dante level 3.
Same. I'm also
And so
done in
I
level
feel
three,
like,
but the with the theory and the proper implementation, it's like it's
it's a
vast
different
vast
story.
difference, right? So
Exactly, and that's exactly what I mean.
would the theoretical knowledge sometimes the minute cable that we are using, right? That cable will be the issue, right? That cable won't be
Hmm.
armored, right? That Dante
Yeah.
specifically needed an armored cable, and the routing
Yes.
to set the clock signals, right? It's not always easy, and the
Yeah,
network
exactly.
routing. So with the certification that we have, it's just an idea, right? How to use that tool,
But to bring
Yeah.
an outcome and to make that delay and all those things, definitely you should have hands-on experience, right?
Exactly, and that's exactly my point. That's where I feel I would need the most development in the first 3 months.
Okay. So, okay. So are you currently based close to Amsterdam to provide
I'm
a
currently
regular?
based in Amsterdam.
Okay. So are you willing to travel between the client offices when required?
That's okay, yeah. I mean, if you can give me an overview of the amount of offices that I would need to support, I can tell you the feasibility further. But with a bicycle, or in my case, an e-bike, it's fairly easy to navigate Amsterdam. From my location, I can be in Amsterdam Zuid in 10 minutes with a bike. I could be in Amsterdam Central in about 15 minutes.
Okay. So are you comfortable
So-
working outside in normal hours, right, for critical meetings, maintenance activities, maybe the project
Definitely.
deployments? Okay.
Definitely.
What is your notice period? The earliest possible joining date? So you're already out, right? Just actively
Yeah,
searching.
my earliest possible. Yeah, my earliest possible joining date would be as early as tomorrow.
Okay. Do you have any authorization to work in Netherlands without any additional sponsorship?
Yes, I'm a Dutch passport holder.
Oh, great. So sometimes it won't be there. So I heard that in your resume you are intermediate in Dutch. So sometimes what happens is there will be lot of systems coming from the China, right? But none of them will be in English. We have to Google Translate to understand that.
Oh, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
familiar with that as well. I've had to work with some Spanish colleagues.
Okay.
If it's in Dutch, I can understand Dutch if I'm reading it. My biggest issue is just speaking, but I can almost fluently understand it if I'm reading it or if I'm hearing it.
Okay.
And I mean, for Chinese, I can definitely use a translator.
Okay. See, do you have any questions? I'm done with my thoughts. Way before I have done actually. So I was just curious to know, since you are a core AV guy, right? I was trying to give you some more insights, right? I'm happy to answer you some of the queries. The platform is open for you.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
don't have many questions, but one question that I feel is an important one is within the first 3 or 6 months that I'm performing this role, what would you say would be the core success criteria for me?
What is our core success criteria?
Yeah, so what would I need to do to show that I'm like, what metrics would I need to meet to show that I'm performing?
See, I can't completely answer that one. So
Understandable. It's a complex role.
Yeah, a complex role. See, this is the area. The previous guy over here was a core AV guy, right? He was very good at vendor management. He has some hands-on experience, and she handles the situation in a better way. So and we don't want to much worry about that one. Some of the things that we lack over there is the visibility, right? We are not much visible what the things going on there, and the opportunity. So if some new installation is coming, right, we should be notified upfront, so that we can also convert that opportunity. So for this particular role, so we are looking for a hands-on guy, so who can support us with the remote monitoring. We have a remote team who do the remote monitoring on a 24/7 routine. So all those devices are remotely controlled. So we previously we have some of the guys who is more into desktop experience. So we are building a core AV team. So we are looking for somebody who can reduce the delivery time, downtime, and definitely within this, definitely you will be having much more learning capabilities. right? You can learn a lot. It is always going to be an advantage for you, because since we are in all 32 plus countries there, um, and who knows, it's completely it's depend on your performances, right?
All right.
We do have a delivery manager. He was supposed to join today. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it. I have a
All right.
a practice head, right? So we are a big team actually. So
All right.
yeah, we are
I
mainly looking
like.
for a team player, so who can work with us, right? Who can back us, right? If somebody is not there, if some opportunity is, who is ready to step into that opportunity, right? So in our culture, we do that one. So we back each other, right? Always.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I feel the same. It's always important to have your colleagues' backs. That way, if everybody has each other's back, the
Yeah.
work's getting done properly, and there's no
And
issues
Benjamin,
with the
trust me,
client.
more than your technical skill, that to be your front end guy, right? Your people skills will be mattered most.
Definitely.
Right? How you handle these people, right? In some critical situation, escalation things, how you approach that situation, that all matters, right? If you're a guy working remotely, nothing, right? But when you're always going to a front end guy, the tension will be there, pressure will be there, the multiple people will be reach out to you, right? Since you will be the only
Definitely.
guy who knows AV, core AV. So
Yeah, my former manager used to refer to it as the hot seat.
yeah, hot seat. So some of there is also one challenge that some people may not be technically sound, right? They can't understand anything technically. Then how you communicate the situation to a non-technical people? Actually, I didn't ask you that question. So that also will be going to be a challenge, right? Normally, how you
Yeah.
do that one? How you explain the things to a non-technical person?
Well, I mean, I've had that experience a lot in my previous role. I was on the hot seat, and so usually, especially with older folks,
Mm-hmm.
your explanation of the problem doesn't necessarily need to be technically accurate as long as it's conceptually accurate. Especially with older folks, because then once they have an understanding, like, hey, uh, this isn't working because of this, it becomes a lot easier to have. Generally, people, once they gain some understanding of a situation, they're more flexible with the situation. So, for example, if there's an issue with one of their applications, it doesn't have a certificate, the certificate's expired or whatnot, then instead of trying to explain in depth what a certificate is or that the certificate's the issue, I can just explain to a non-technical person, hey, this application normally has a digital ID, and that digital ID is expired, so we just need to renew it. So generally, the concept is there, even though it's not technically correct. But once the concept is correct, that helps a lot with people's understandings, in my experience.
Okay. Understood. Um, I think you have very hands-on experience, because AV market is expanding very on rapid range. My suggestion is, right, since I am being with them almost more than 2 years, this is the platform where you can learn from multiple people, right?
Definitely.
You can understand a core atmosphere of a corporate world, how that functions actually. So don't think that this is a 3 months, 6 months. How from there how you are going to expand? Definitely, we will make sure that you whatever the doubts that you have, whatever the things you want to, we can train you. That definitely we will do from our part. The rest call is not in our hand, right? It's always be with the higher management. But once you fill this position, as definitely you served in Amsterdam, it's always going to be highlight for yours. Yeah, and we have our own training sessions also, where in a weekly we train our guys. Uh,
Oh, that's
so
nice.
you can also take part in that one. We never have a separate package for our on-site guys and other people. So those the things are that you're going. So in the outside where there is no proper training other than CTS, other kind of trainings, right? Here, whatever the issues that you are facing, whenever we are discussing some things, right? If you are interested, you can take part in that one. You can also join our training sessions, right? It will be taken from by our delivery manager. Sometimes our technical head will be there. So I
Oh, that's
think
nice.
you will be a good addition to ask some questions, right? So you are very curious, right? You have some hands-on experience. So if you want to get, I think those training sessions will give you some more clarity, right? As for the heavy role. So
I
never
mean,
think.
those sound great, actually.
Uh, I didn't get you.
Hmm?
I didn't get you. Come again.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that those training sections actually sound really great,
Yeah.
and I would really love to join those. At my previous role, I would also do our internal trainings. Did some for ITIL, I did some for Azure Fundamentals, I even did some for AI.
Hmm.
So for me, I would definitely be interested in those. I would love to join them.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, I think you may have another
Yeah.
call or something.
Yeah. I
I
do
do
have
have
getting
getting
some
some
pings
pings
from
from
my
my
side.
side,
But
but
still
still
I
I
can
can
be
be
Yeah.
available
available
if
if
you
you
have
have
any
any
questions
questions
from
from
your
your
side.
side.
Well, I mean, you've already covered more than enough when with my previous question with the success criteria. It's like what I've got here is visibility, uh, opportunity. So with the notices as well, so these opportunities can be taken advantage of. Vendor management, downtime reduction, delivery time reduction, and I also added improved experience because that's always something that I like to bring.
Sure.
Um,
I'm
I'm
glad
glad
that you
that you
spend
spend
this
this
much
much
of
of
time
time
with
with
us,
us,
right?
right?
Normally
Normally
the
the
interview
interview
sessions
sessions will
won't
won't
last
last
more
more
than
than
15
15
minutes,
minutes,
right?
right?
Since
Since
you
you
have the
have the
stuff
stuff
within
within
you,
you,
that's
that's
why
why
we
we
extended
extended
these
these
things,
things,
right?
right?
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much
much
for
for
joining.
joining,
Right.
right?
Thanks for having me.
Our
Our
HR
HR
team
team will be. I will
share
share
my
my
comments,
comments,
right?
right?
Definitely
Definitely
will
will
be
be
positive.
positive.
I
I
will
will
share
share
my
my
comments
comments
with
with
my
my
team.
team.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
keep
keep
in
in
touch.
touch.
Thank you.
LinkedIn, I will be available. The same name, Srijesh Srinivasan Stephanie. You can search.
All right, definitely. I'll send you a connection request.
Sure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
take
take
care.
care.
Have a good one.
Bye. പെട്ടെന്ന് എണീറ്റിട്ട് നിന്നെ വിളിക്കുമായിരുന്നു കയറി വരുന്നത്.